So guys, firstly I'd like to really quickly try and say why we're different, okay? Over the last couple of years especially, you've seen a lot of massive transformations of people's injuries. What I have here obviously is the full human kinetic chain. Everything we've done has been based on that. Okay, if we talk about, you hear me mention about the emotional side, we do need to be aware of that, but we also have to know exactly the impact that it has on this structure here. Okay, so somebody's going around for years with a lot of depression, maybe a lot of mental health issues in general, it will affect the body, it will shorten the body exactly as I'm showing you. Okay, we can have an internal rotation happen in the shoulders through all the muscle system here, all through the rib cage. Weight of gravity coming down on the body again can cause a massive amount of L4, L5 issues where people adapt this position. And then we also see people who end up in this position where they slouch to the sides. So these are all reactions that happen to this. However, when we ask people, when you're working with us, to send us your walking gait in, this is what we're looking at, okay? From years of obviously watching it and breaking videos down slowly, we've obviously devised a system now that is able to give you feedback extremely quickly. So once we've obviously attacked that emotional side and we start to look at the physical, this is the physical, okay? These four stages here, you have your longitudinal chain, you have your lateral chain, your posterior and your anterior chain. So basically this point here is when an individual strikes the floor for the first time, okay? You can actually see it, okay? That is this point of contact here. Energy travels through this orange line all the way up through. So in order for that to not cause me to limp, like you see some people were very heavy on one foot, as we transition into this foot, that's where the lateral chain comes in. So this back foot begins to elevate. Okay, I now stabilize all the way through the green tissue you're seeing here. Everything on the outside, the glute really activates. This is where people are being diagnosed with hip drops and all these types of things through biomechanics readings, is because there's a failure somewhere along here. We'll talk about that in other videos as we go along. The posterior chain is your elastic, it's where you coil up that spring, okay? So if I have a very strong posterior chain development as I walk, it's what assists the anterior chain. So for me to actually transmit, say, from this point, so this is the rotation in the upper body, I've stored up all my energy here, and then it's a swing phase through. That's when I restart it all over again. So that essentially is your human kinetic chain. Well, we're watching for so many things. The biggest issue is everybody is so focused on the pelvis, they're trying to relieve the pelvis. However, when the body starts to break down, it is from the T-spine not rotating enough when the individual is walking. We could have had a bad impact, as I said, all physical injuries again. You may have got a massive hit here. It could have been 10 years ago. We will spot this sort of stuff. The microcurrents itself is why we're different, okay? The level of money we've spent is phenomenal. And 1 hour of this machine is equivalent to about 12, maybe 16 hours of handwork. So no human is able to do it because it's the current that's following through the line of connective tissue. For example, a last thing I'll show on this video, when we look at this here, we're looking at how the fascial sheets are in the body. So they wrap this way around the body. You can even see on the shapes of the bones. So if I let this go, the band wants to internally rotate. And how the human adapts to that stuff is they stand like this, okay? And from the back view, when we stand that way, this is why we start to experience all our sciatica issues, our L4, L5 issues, and so on. So essentially, we look at that holistical approach, okay? We take all of this into consideration, and it's based on what we see in front of us there and then, and the assessment itself is so fast now from years and years of seeing so many different bodies and designing our own system.